Good morning once again. You're welcome to our African Researchers Network discussion with Reverend Father Dr. Ansem Adodo. And we are privileged to have him here today. We have featured other preliminary discussions with various scholars across Africa, and we are so happy to have him as an expert in African traditional medicine. And who is Dr. Adodo, by the way? Dr. Ansem is a philosopher, a theologian, a monk, and an African herbalist. And as some people will call it, an alternative medicine practitioner. He has a wide range of experience in traditional medicine and has published numerous books. He's the founder of Pax African and the director of Scientific Research Institute in Lagos, Nigeria. His scientific discoveries and impact has led to the approval of university degrees, University of Lagos and the Institute of African Diaspora Studies, as well as University of Ibadan. And he has also expanded the global understanding of African traditional medicine through various interviews that has been conducted with international counterparts across the globe. So we have the privilege today to welcome Dr. Ansem Adodo. The way the discussion will go is more or less, I'm going to just have a brief exposition and raise some of our primary concerns which will lead to further exposition and discussion. When I was writing to Dr. Dodo to invite him for this webinar, I notified him that we have actually been working towards a strong publication in African indigenous knowledge system. And we have discussed with philosophers, we have examined various aspects of misconceptions and misinterpretation around our cultural heritage. And we have discussed with theologians with regards to representation of Jesus as white and black, as devil. We have discussed with historians on the impact of colonialism and slavery in Africa. And then we have discussed with other scholars in various fields on how representation of African ideas can actually be found within the canon of global education system. And this month, February, we're also having a webinar to having an astrophysicist and a mathematician to tell us about African impacts and knowledge prior to colonialism and slavery and into that sector. But today we invited him because we said we have to talk about medicine, because a lot of video clips have been seen. We have seen surgical operations done right before colonialism or even slavery. We have those things documented in some videos. They may be crude way, but we know our ancestors may not write down, but there are a lot of evidence around the medical practice. And today, one of the major concerns that we try to raise is, if we can't follow the trend, especially with the sophistication, and why don't we develop our indigenous medical practices in orthopedic, in the herbal medicine, as well as psychic healing? And these are aspects that I believe that the network have actually thought about and said we're going to have a discussion with an expert on. Apart from that, we also realize that majority, in one way or the other, in Africa, especially I can talk about Nigeria, data has shown that majority actually make recourse to urban practices. And a lot of people go to Western medical system as the last resort, as some people used to say, that some people only want to come and die in the hospital. But a lot of people, even after trying, and then we see all this taking place, not only because of efficacy, but also we talk about affordability. And that is one of the things we want to discuss, how the practice of traditional medicine has actually increased inclusivity in healthcare delivery in Africa. So at this point, I will pause and I will not say so much, so that once Father takes his next 15 minutes to give us the exposition of how this, then we'll be able to move further into discussion. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. One of my hobby is to listen to people and take notes. And there's always an opportunity to learn. So let me begin with the proposed topic. Uh, I think if I can see it on, I think the topic is African herbal medicine,
Not
not
Juju.
Juju. So I would suggest probably we rephrase it in another way. Probably we say African herbal medicine, the myths, and the science.
Okay.
But immediately, when people see it, they say, oh, they know what it's going to say. It's going to say African medicine is good, it's not juju. And people nowadays, they think you have an ideology you are bringing to them, even from the beginning. So you can make it start some suspense that everybody will say, oh, let me hear what he wants to say.
Yeah.
They're not even able to guess.
I
Yeah.
will alter that when preparing for the public.
Okay, so we'll talk more about that surely. And also, uh, yes, I will keep to the topic, but my broad area of research is actually try to bring everything together. African economics, African spirituality, politics, knowledge creation. Where in Africa, we are doing a lot of individual brilliant research. But now we need to develop a methodology to bring all this knowledge together. So you attend a big, wonderful conference on spirituality, on herbal medicine, on African economics, brilliant, as you said, the what next? So, and that led me to develop a new curriculum for University of Ibadan, which we call Transformation Studies in Africa. And so it's a master's program. Now we'll be going to the PhD level, Transformation Studies in Africa. How do we generate knowledge for Africa, in Africa? So that, like the example you gave, somebody making wonderful presentation about agriculture in Europe, but then how do you, because you have your PhD, and then what next? So that's why I'm impressed that Timothy is here teaching. He wants to make a difference. So I like people like that. Otherwise, we graduate PhDs. In Epoma, near me, we have a university in Epoma where people graduate PhD in road construction engineering, electrical engineering, but the road to the VC's office is not even started. So we are writing a PhD on road construction engineering, and you do your PhD. Why not make constructing a new road within the university your research project that people can see and feel and touch? So I think we need to reinvent education in Africa, in Nigeria. And my new book, my forthcoming book, I think by June or maybe May, which is that Africology, it's actually addressing this issue, knowledge creation in Africa for Africa. So that has been my work. So I'm trying to, I also lecture in South Africa in Da Vinci Institute, where we try to, how do we develop economic theories for Africa that is practicable, that is not modeled after the Western, or you can learn from it, but it's not modeled after that. Otherwise, we'll keep on going around in a circle. So I will, but that's the broad area of my research. So I'm into, I write in politics, in economics, in spirituality, and knowledge creation, and indigenous knowledge systems. But I try to put everything into a broad perspective. So that's why what we have done in Paksaba is to demonstrate that science is not just a privilege of those who are living in Europe. You can, science is not a native of Europe of America. In fact, it originated here in Africa. So we developed our own different systems. We found a way to find solutions to our problem here. So that's what we have done in Paksaba, in such a way that when the American ambassador came here, he couldn't believe it. I said, where are we? I said, we're in Nigeria. He said for the first time, he could look around and say, yes, excellent, and use the word excellent for the first time in a long, long time. The lightning, the electricity, we found local solution, even our energy need, everything. So I like your own orientation of, that's what we are up to. So I like the idea. So we have developed it in such a way that now the Morehouse School of Medicine in Georgia, Atlanta, and Ivy League University of Medicine, I'll be having, they asked me to present a seminar, which will be before yours. It will be in March.
Okay.
I will send you the link.
Okay.
They are inviting me to be an associate professor in a medical school, a herbal medicine. People call a native doctor, whatever they call me.
That's
Now,
in South Africa.
Okay, in Georgia.
Georgia.
In Georgia, yes.
Atlanta.
Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, in Georgia. So those in the US, they will be interested. So they're having a seminar in March. I will surely send you the link.
Great.
Because they have seen the value, the need, even more than our leaders could see. So these are medical professionals, professors. They train postgraduate people in medicine. So I think there is a lot of recognition, and they discover here, Paksaba, the same way you have through our work, and they were impressed, and they say, look, they need to key into this. The tragedy is probably they will get all the research, they will now be the one promoting even the herbal medicine more than we do.
Yes.
So I think when you do it properly, people will appreciate and they will promote it. And probably there'll be more others who we have the traditional orthopedic healers who are doing wonderful work. I've seen them. People have fractures and they manage them, but nobody has sat down to monitor all the processes on how this is done. So there's so much we can talk about in herbal medicine.
Yes.
So my interest in this seminar you are planning is to see whether we should streamline, because it's quite a broad field. We have traditional orthopedics or general health, maybe attitude to healthcare. We have the traditional birth attendants. We have all specific or generally on management of chronic diseases or acute diseases. Then there are different sections. So there's quite a lot that we can explore. But I think your interest is generally on herbal, at least for the first one, generally about herbal medicine. So I would like to be clear about which aspect, but we have now put them into categories so that we can handle it very clearly and in a satisfactory way. So I would like to know what your interest is in this, because there's so much to talk about. Music, counseling, there's so much, incantations, which we call vibration healing now. They used to call it with vibration healing, which is also scientific. Color therapy.
In response to that, we are actually a little bit interested in the so-called what is scientific and what is pseudoscience.
Okay.
And from the Western understanding, a scientific enterprise passes through certain stages of hypothesis formation, experimentation, observation, and predictability. And these are some of the questions that are often being raised when it comes to traditional medical practices in Africa. How does this actually fit into that instead of being classified as pseudoscience?
Okay, fine.
And the second part of the concern well, has to do with an hypothesis by Donald Davidson about people's understanding of a particular place in the world, even though we are all human beings, but our place and position in the world, the, the ontological worldview, has a great impact to whatever we are doing and whatever field of inquiry that we are. So something worked in the West does not mean that it's going to work in Africa. And then part of the concern has always been like, how does the ontological understanding of a human person, comes into play? Because African understanding of who a human person is, and how does it come into play in the holistic healing? And the third one has more to do with some of the points you have raised during this conversation, the points you have raised this morning, which has to do with even prior to the demarcation of disciplines, and saying we have Greek, we have medicine, we have sociology. They were all together, and we can have great scientists like Mendel, who was a monk and also a philosopher, a theologian, and everything. And so we have Aristotle, we have Pythagoras, we have in the ancient times, and then we have before all this demarcation, and then we see this holistic uh, understanding of knowledge coming again, and African raising it more. And it's compared to the colonial legacy that we had, that if somebody study biochemistry, they will say, what's the person doing in pharmacies? Or if somebody study computer science, they will say, what is the person doing in medicine in Nigeria, if the person crosses? Because some of this interplay, because of the colonial legacy, it has not been clear to our people that most of all this thing. But I think it has been changed in the West. So when we also look at the third aspect that we are looking at is in the knowledge production holistically, uh, how does this separation of each, affect the human person when it comes to healing, when it comes to all this? I see the way you talk about the economics, the spirituality, and the medical, the healing perspective of it. Then the fourth concern has more to do with how do we separate it? Like we were talking about, I exposed uh, some of the pictures I took at the museum of charms and ammunitions in the NLA's place in Port Harcourt. So I exposed the thing to my colleagues here, and I was like telling them, you can see this. These are some of the charms collected and whatever. And they're like, we are calling for enculturation. Then the question is this: even there are images of Jesus and Mary and other things there, and then there are charms. How do we separate these charms from enculturation as well as from medication? So somebody talks about it, when somebody talks, a priest talk about, I took my sister who was bitten by a snake to an herbalist, and many people were disturbed that a priest has gone to an herbalist. And because an herbalist can combine everything together, his traditional religion as well as his skills in healing and practices. So how do we separate this area of culture, religion, and especially the idea of charms, the devilish part of what people conceive, and then the whole healing? So I think these four are basically the principal areas that we're concerned, because all of them has much to do with knowledge system. Defending it, first of all, by saying it's scientific, not pseudoscience. Grounding it in African worldview, African reality and ontology. And then explaining people's attitude towards it from the point of view of who we are as a person. And also the fourth one has to do with the changes that is going on in line with the book you're writing, Africology. The changes that is going on, which has to be knowledge system in Africa is not demarcated but holistic. So that's just a summary of our concern.
Okay, fine. So my audience, well, tell me about this, your group. Okay, it's an association of students or academics
Okay,
with
uh,
their students.
I will tell you about it by showing some things on the website. So I will just share a browser now, and So we started as University of Birmingham students. That was in last year in August when the lockdown was increasing, and we noticed that we can network as African researchers across disciplines. So we found that so we started connecting among ourselves and discussion started. So someone in the engineering, someone in law, someone in but when the discussion started, we said yes, we instead of asking we are marginalized, we are put aside and all these things, why can't we just have an audience and also gather our own scholars and also create the agenda for discussion such that we will not be begging no or accusing anybody of discriminating or marginalizing our ideas and our African point of view. And that was how we started by meeting our colleagues in engineering. And after the first encounter was to actually we had a webinar, online webinars on how other networks like this have been doing theirs across the globe. So we had first of all in August surviving the challenges and other things. So we had someone from University of Dundee who actually explained this is how they were doing it. That's not Dr. Nathaniel. This is how, and then we come realize that we can add other perspective to it on our own. And then we said we need to consult the others first. So we had the following month we had a discussion with Dr. Remy Olatubosun, who is a retired professor at the University of Engineering and Department of Engineering, University of Birmingham. And then we selected scholars across the globe, Akimayo Wotiko from Africa, as well as Dr. Shegun Afolabi from Canada. So we're looking at pathway towards collaboration, and this opened our eyes to the reality that we cannot have this network just limited to University of Birmingham, but we need or UK. So we need to open it up. So after the discussion, we noticed that, and then that takes it a little bit away from what it is, and then we met with our other colleagues and combined ideas together from the advice that has been given by our elderly scholars, and then we designed a new website, removed the former website from the OSIN under Humanity Common, and then we developed this, which we now call the African Researchers Network, and then it has grown to include a lot of people, non-Africans and Africans, and the conversation is not limited to a discipline. So that's one of the things, because we are across discipline, what we find more in an interesting way how we can converse across discipline on African issues and how everything has a holistic formation. So if you can see on this present website, like some people are saying, why do we have this on this website? You know, people want some on the images, like this is voodoo or this is this, like that. Those who are saying that, that's where we're going to. We're going to change your mindset and understanding. We could put a good person in lab and other things, but we're trying to say we are tapping back. We're taking back from indigenous. So far, our objectives, we have trustee, we have members who are associates, members who are in charge of committee, webinar committee, and then the publications are always translated in colonial languages so that it can reach other parts of Africa. So we have a newsletters which will every month when we have discussions with speakers, so we translate to French, Dutch, Portuguese, and English, and share it across WhatsApp and all the social media, the output of discussions that have been made. So you can see we had a position, we have had several other seminars like positionality and intersectionality, law, issues on law. We have had webinars in the engineering sector too, talking about the research. That was in December, and in January we had a discussion on Black Jesus, Black devil and white Jesus. So we had experts in what we call it in art, in art history, to actually help us to trace that, because a lot of people were leaving Christianity. when they entered Europe, saying that Christianity is a white man's religion, is European religion. But many of them we made it realize it's not like a European religion. So we're able to trace some of all these things and clarify a lot of history that have also been hidden and that are affecting Africans across the globe. So our long-term dreams, we're working towards having journals and having reservoirs of books and galleries that people can access in the diaspora, books that has been written and that they are not accessed. And our WhatsApp group has been a very interesting house because in the WhatsApp group we have uh, senior colleagues and retired professors and others who actually send us a lot of materials, who actually participate in some of the discussions we have been having. If we go for instance to our YouTube page, and then you'll be able to see uh, numerous discussions that we have had with other scholars, as well as that was 2 days ago we had the discussion on black psychosis with this German scholar who believes that everything mostly about the western part of epistemic framework were affected by their content for Africans, and how ideas have changed and how superiorization is what we have and how Africans have to work on how to clear themselves of this superiorization. So, and we make these resources available to members and some available to the public. So this just what we have done in our little way, and God helping us, we are making progress.
Okay. And you have members from African universities among.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
we have members from African University, as you can see. If I take back to the formal web page, you will see that most of um, most of our members from African universities also features at our events. As you can see that the only challenge we have at times is what we call it, the Zoom issue that some of them used to have when they are joining the event. But mostly South African members have been participating well without, and Nigerian members have been participating well without any Zoom problem. But for our members in some other places, they have had challenges. So you can see Professor Barak Etieno in medical physiology, who is a registered member too, from Nigeria, and then many other people from Nigeria. This was the old database, and then we have Cesario Fletcher from the US, and so we have that cross sectionality, and as well as other people and even non-Africans who are interested in the discourse.
okay, that's good. Good to know. This so we keep on learning. So I will okay. So I will. This my presentation will be generally African medicine, the philosophy, the general concepts, why it is as valid, as genuine as the orthodox Western system, and
Yes,
it should not be suppressed just because it's not understood by other parts of the world. So I okay, that suits my own because there are a lot of organizations now in Africa
yes,
who are just lamenting everything, and I got to the stage and no longer show interest. We don't need lament. No, why not? If you are brilliant and you're intelligent, you don't need to go and be telling people respect me because I'm intelligent.
exactly,
Do it,
exactly,
and they will respect you. But
exactly,
after we're having seminars, we want to convince a black man that is special and unique that people should respect him. Don't respect me. Respect me for what I do, for what I am. I don't need
exactly,
to beg for it. So uh,
exactly.
that's my own approach anyway. So
Yes,
I,
and I think that is like asking us to avoid reactionary attitude, because a
yes,
lot of I've been part of networks who who what we do is more or less reacting. What do they take us for? But the thing is, we is showing the thing, and we like as this F4 wrote. She's one of the black British writer and advocate for equality, and she was more like she wrote why I stopped speaking to white people about race. That was the title of our book. And she's like, the time
I've
has
read it.
come, we
Yeah.
should just focus on ourselves and look at what we can do instead of just lamenting and reactionary. So people like African philosophy, many people are writing, we have philosophy. Stop there. Can we write down what the philosophy is? And that's what we are all about.
Yes, I don't see Chinese people lamenting that respect us, we have this. They just do it. And you Russians, they don't beg anybody. So they need vaccine. Then Russia made a vaccine and put it there. So you can now criticize the vaccine and let it be. But Russia do not cry that we have vaccine, accept it.
Yeah,
So I think Africans, we need to think more in that direction.
yes.
We lament too much. So,
And and and
so
and further on your website, it's so
yeah.
interesting how you combine motivation also with motivation, stories from your personal experience,
Mhm.
and other things that actually informed your research is we see the holistic perspective to the thing, and it's so unique how. And I think maybe you can share a tip because it's also part of health, because here in this part of the world many things we are not conscious of before comes to our mind, which has to do with mental health. And personally I would say that for the first time I at a point in my life I come to realize, oh, so there is serious thing, because I come to realize that if one did not hold one in ground, one can really be disabled. And how does this whole thing comes into play?
Yes, that's why I developed a theory you must have heard about it, communitalism, where I say bringing knowledge all together. So that we need to see knowledge as a circle that keeps going around. We must not be stuck in one. In the West, they are stuck in the economic aspect. And then now, when there's crisis, they are confused. So when COVID came, I saw EU 500 billion, as if you want to solve the problem
Yeah,
with money only, until the virus taught us that no, it's not just about money.
yeah,
Then you go to Europe, everybody's talking about self-care, and who this? It's not just about me. It's not just about the self. No, everybody's talking about themselves. Self-care, self-care. What about we? What about the others? I think the COVID also let us know that it's not just me, it's about other people. So you wear a mask, even if you don't like it, but because of the other people. So I think things are changing gradually. We need to see healthcare be human as not just about me, it's about the environment, nature, and we need to see this connection. In Africa, Africa is a symbol of that to some extent, that
yes,
what's called Ubuntu. But then from the other way, when you look at Africa, we are trying to leave that behind to run after the ones out there. So the world is coming towards Africa. Africa wants to run to the other side. But we need to meet somewhere in the middle, learn from each tradition, from the south, from the east, from the west, and then come together for holistic healing. So
yes.
that's what my theory of communitalism is about.
No about yes.
That for Africa, economics is very important. So whatever we are doing, the economic aspect is so vital. The political aspect is so important. The spirituality, I would say, is too one-sided in Africa. So
Yes,
we have more than enough of that. So we need to bring it down a bit and emphasize the other aspects. For me, personally, it's a big problem for me.
yes,
Religion and spirituality is depriving this modern Africa of
yes,
making development of, too much religious beliefs. And so we need to learn a lot from people in the other side. They
yes,
too need to learn a new spirituality
yes,
from Africa, that so no part of the world can stand alone. That's just my own concept. To be human, we need to learn from other people from across the world. And it's very important. For me, that's the way to the future. Otherwise, there will be no peace. Uh,
Yes.
yes, there will be no peace in the world. The hungry people, the homeless, they will not allow those who are homes to have peace. They will not sleep well because we will continue to knock on their doors to remind them that we are hungry. So, as President Bush of the US said, say at least help the poor, even if you don't love them, at least for their own sake, help them because they will keep on reminding you that you are not alone in the world. We are breathing the same air. So that's my philosophy, really. That's what I'm trying to reflect in my website, that we need to be human. So I can't just be an academic, a scholar, but it matters too how I treat other people, how I look after my body, how I relate to other people. Otherwise, I'll just be a scholar, a stoic, subhuman, maybe who's very brilliant, write brilliant papers, but emotionally, mentally, humanly, I'm not. You can see the effect of that when you have a leader who has that kind of thing. I'm not mentioning anybody's name, but it's very important. That's my own uh,
Yes.
philosophy. My approach to healing, to health, is in that line.
From the communitarian
Yes.
perspective and the
Communitalism,
Ubuntu
yes.
theory, the Ubuntu, and with regards to, you made mention of also COVID-19. And one of the things I was given a presentation to University of Birmingham students last year during the August season, when we're having decolonizing the curriculum. Uh,
Mm.
and part of the thing I did was to look at the Madagascar cure and
Yeah.
to look at what people are saying, because my research is more or less in textual analysis and quantification. So I mind the discussion people are having on YouTube and Twitter, and I created a corpus, and I want to see what they associate with the Madagascar cure. And then you see a lot of ridiculous issues that people are like Juju, or people have taken it to fraud, or people are. And the question I asked, like, I wasn't endorsing Madagascar COVID cure, but the question I asked is, can the COVID vaccine or cure come from Africa? And they show you all the proofs that it passed through all the procedure, scientific procedure. Will you still accept it? Or it can never be accepted? So I was just like, what's your own thoughts with regards to the COVID-19 and Africa? And luckily, or unfortunately, the news is talking about there is now a dangerous, the most dangerous South African version. And then the media is now very happy to have something to put on Africa a little bit now that there is. But what do you say with regards to COVID-19? And people have asked you question too, whether you have cures for that.
Yes, there's a student. She's in Geneva, in Switzerland. She's an American. She's doing a PhD on the Madagascar scenario of COVID-19. She's very curious. So I think she's gone there now to analyze the whole issue about the Madagascar medicine, colonial medicine. And then she's gone to France to the archive, where you have this archive of herbal medicine plants from Madagascar that were taken to France, and how they have extracted this knowledge to actually develop medicine in France. So yes, I've had some conversation with her, but she's doing a whole PhD on that topic. Uh, so that's somebody that may be happy to present our findings at a
Oh
stage.
wow.
Yes. So,
It would be good to also have the person on the panel with you. If you can link us with the person, I'll be so glad to
yes, yes. It is very important. So yes, the Madagascar thing, I was very much. I know some of the Madagascar guys where we normally meet in conferences in the past, and I remember they were always so serious, more focused than we Nigerians. Many times the other people they are out for shopping during the sessions, but this guy they will be there, and I remember they were joking that one day they are going to export their products to Nigeria. I
yes.
said, get it. that Nigeria is 20 times bigger than Madagascar. So when this thing happened, and then I said, So I remember one of them sent me email, said, we told you that we are going to do this. So it's very interesting. Because one of the plants, the king of bitters, we were already working on it, which now in Thailand has been officially approved as COVID drug. It's the same plant that Madagascar was using. So what I learned from Madagascar is the importance of the political will, that you need leadership to actually promote what you have. Even the issue of vaccine, it's not just the private organization, it's actually the government. So if African governments can know their place as leaders, you need to sell yourself. So much of the vaccines we have, it's actually media and publicity. That's the fact. Money is very key. We must get that right. That it's not just science. Science, okay, but they never remove money and power from science.
Exactly.
So even the discovery you have, the political will, the politics will determine which information goes out and which truth, in inverted commas, you should put out there to the public. So I think in Africa, we need to get that right. You can't separate if you don't have money, you may have made the most important discovery in the world without money and political power. Nobody will listen to you. That's just that's why China can do what they want with human rights, but then there's little you can do because they have some economic power. So you can't suspend them. But South Africa, who is still growing, the whole world can come together and say no more flights from South Africa because they have COVID. Eventually, my fear is that COVID could not become an African problem eventually.
Exactly, because the way it's going now,
yes,
the way it's going, it's being pushed now on Africans' head.
yes. Suddenly now it's South Africa and it's in the news. The one from China, it's okay, it's okay. Remember, they used to name viruses after like Ebola was named after the place where it was.
Exactly.
Until last year, when the WHO now said, okay, we will not name it after the place.
The place again.
Yes. So I think that's why we need to always discuss all this in context. We are the underdog. That's just the reality. And we can cry for 50 years. We are going to remain the underdog until we take the bull by the horn and empower our society. So we should keep that in mind. Economics, politics, they are very important. That's what I always say. You need money in your pocket to be taken seriously. That's why Nigeria, a country of 200 million people, if the president speaks, it's still a local idea. Say, but if Switzerland, a small country, speaks, they say global views is a global view. If the president of France speaks, it's global view. If UK Prime Minister speaks, it's global view. If a Ghanaian president speaks, it's local views.
Yeah.
So who determines what is local or global? If the Queen of England speaks, it's a global view. If the Sultan of Sokoto speaks, it's a traditional healer. It's not, it's a traditional healer. But the Queen of England is queen, no addition, just a queen, a king. But in Africa, you must add local or traditional to it. So
exactly, and it's surprising because except if somebody speak through, except if an African speak through the former colonizer, maybe the voice can be heard. So there is power interplay in what you are saying, and you also made mention that even though someone may be sure that this an African country has, through their herbal practices, have discovered a real cure for COVID, but because of power and economics, will not really endorse that. Will want to, and as Dr. Otiko argued made a statement during his presentation with us, he said Africa have been exploited to develop Europe, but we should not exploit Africa further. We should not use Africa further because there's always this tendency to extract the best brain, the tendency to extract the best idea, the tendency to create research labs across Africa. It's where what they do is they do the research, and when the discovery is made, even before those who are doing the research will know what they are doing, the real thing is being pronounced from and then you are saying this can be changed anyway through economic and political empowerment and radicalization. And it's so interesting to hear. It's so
Yes, money is, nobody listens to one who does not have money. I mean, if a rascal who's a multi-billionaire in the world speaks, people listen. Even though it's not making sense, everybody listens. So I always emphasize this to African that look, you need economic power to be taken seriously. Okay, the economic will always, always means military power. Also, that's just the reality. So otherwise, when we write research papers, you need to send it to a foreign organization who have the financial power to endorse. Most time we need to go out there to Europe or America to be recognized, and then people will take you more seriously. So when we were developing, we were very much involved in Nigeria during the COVID crisis because we're already involved in the Ebola things.
yes.
So we're actually the most consistently research-oriented institution in Nigeria, consistently. So when it was the Nigerian government said, okay, whoever has a formula, but already I was expecting that COVID was coming to Nigeria. I was in South Africa then in January 2020. So when it was announced in China, I said, this is coming. So let's begin to work. So we're the very first to submit a formula to the
Yes.
to NAFDAC, and it was moving very fast. So other people say, why these people? They say, we have been doing this. We didn't just wake up. We have you can't make a vaccine when you have no experience of research in treating malaria. You can't just make vaccine from nowhere. You have no history of research and development and research. You can't just wake up in your dream and you are making a vaccine. So, so that went on. It became very political. You must have heard some of the news.
I all the news.
So eventually, our product was the only one that was scaled through. There was no issue at all. It became political. Those in the north say, why a Western drug?
They bring politics and tribalism.
Yes, Christian. The Muslims say, why a Christian medicine that is a Christian organization, and it was unbelievable. So I'm saying this with reference to what we're saying about coloniality. The issue now is, remember in the colonial time, the colonizer, they were using Africans.
Yes.
In Nigeria, there were just less than 150 British people in the whole of Nigeria, of 50 million or 60 then. You brainwash the Nigerian armies, train them, and then, so they were not the one killing people, it was the black people that they were using. We should always keep that in mind.
Exactly.
So they were able to do that because we have not developed that self-consciousness to say, no, you can't do that to Chinese people. They will come together and say, let us overpower them because you are more in number. So when they came to Benin to destroy the Benin kingdom, and the history didn't say so, but it was actually Benin soldiers that they used, pay them some money. So yes, so we must learn to acknowledge our own weakness. That it's easier to keep on blaming those who are taking Nigerians' money abroad now. They're Nigerians. They grew up here. It's not the white people. So if we come together and develop our consciousness, the colonial education we have in Africa, we have African vice chancellors, African lecturers. So why can't they say, okay, we don't like it. Let us reinvent the curricula. But they don't want it because wanting it means you want to lose some of the privilege. A vice chancellor does not want to lose his privilege as a semi-governor in his university until he has retired. Then the ideas will come, let us change this. That's what the problem the Nigerian House of Assembly, the senators, they say, no, when I finish, we can bring all the ideas. So I think we need to re-educate ourselves internally. That's my own than the decolonial ideas. We have been saying that for 70 years. Enough of that. Let
It's
us just hold the local government chairman near me here and say, my friend, how much do you get in allocation? What are you doing with it? Let him work. Let the governor work and the president. Let's develop ourselves. Otherwise, we keep on blaming people, recognize us. They don't like in Madagascar. People started a new wave of African Afrocentrism that they
exactly.
should accept our medicine. They won't accept it. Prove it. Let it work. Bring 1,000 people that have been cured with all the analysis. Then they'll say, okay, there's something here. But don't just go and pontificate and say, accept it because I am African. Or say, respect me because I'm a woman, even though I may not be competent. But the fact that I'm female means you should give me all the privileges. Well, the real feminists, they won't accept that. They don't want that.
Exactly. And
So,
the global networking
yes,
is actually changing some of the narratives
yeah,
that people stop seeing themselves in that factional framework, because the factional framework is what makes the black turn against black themselves. Some days ago, we were talking about the African Americans, and we noticed that it's no longer another race that is fighting one another. It's the African Americans facing themselves, some on the side saying others are playing black cards, that there is no racism, and they just feel all those things in the past, and they call those ones the Uncle Tom side, those who just want to be favored by the powerful system and who don't want to deviate. And there are some who are saying, no, look at the structure over the years, let's come together, don't let us be divided. The same structure can be found even in Africa, as you have already mentioned. But the system is made to face itself, and it's based on interest. And I am so very happy that you actually raised this perspective. And Zoom is so good. We thank God for COVID that make us to discover that we don't even need to go to many parts of the world, because a lot of discussion have been taking place across the globe, and people that we can't meet, like someone like myself. I'm a very small man. I can't meet you in Nigeria face to face. It will take so much. But now here I am with you, and that's what is happening also with global exchange of ideas. You were saying something. You want to say? Sorry to.
yes, Timothy has been silent. Let's hear him.
Okay,
Oh,
Timothy.
yeah,
Timothy.
so in Europe, they say, where are you? I said, I'm in Nigeria because, day in, day out, there's never any sign of sneezing. I said, no, we invented a local solution to our internet problem. So, and it's always working. Everything was done internally. So they always amazed.
You are a
Say that's what we
testimony.
call local knowledge, contextual knowledge.
You are a testimony to that local knowledge, because you are showing how it's working.
Yes.
And
So these are
I
people in the
wanted to.
US. They are very curious because they have been having different zones with Nigeria, in Africa especially. It's always a problem.
Yeah,
And they notice this just remains stable. Otherwise, we invented.
I think to a great extent that some people across the globe in other parts of the world, especially outside Africa,
Mm,
Europe and America, there are some people who actually believe in Africa, but
mm,
they just need evidence. And evidence is coming up, and it raises the counter argument to those who want to argue that they can't do it themselves, they can't survive, anything they do is going to be trash and
mm,
create even internal friction. But that's related to one of the questions that I actually want to ask with regards to your publications, which
mm,
are a little bit evident in the Pax Abana's website, as well as your personal website and your books, and talking about their availability. Like I was asking a colleague before this webinar that, why don't you know Father Adodo, Ansem Adodo? He said he doesn't, and I was like, oh, why? His name is like an household name, but I felt maybe household name maybe to some people, maybe not to maybe those who are doing research and they can actually access the book easily. And one of the things I ask is sometimes maybe some questions like, oh, maybe where is this book? Maybe is it on Oxford or on Palgrave or Springer? And I come realize that you have reached out to large audience across Africa. But what's the secret behind not bringing up the book on a global scale a little bit, or bringing up with publishers across the globe, the so-called, higher publishing enterprises?
Well, I'll be interested in hearing your opinion on how you think we should do this. I know we are the books on Amazon. I know.
Yes,
If
yes,
you go to Amazon, you see the books, but this very one is not online. Yes, that's true. It's locally available. I would say have to make them available online. But the recent publications, Nation Power is online already.
yes,
Then my recent one, Healing Radiance and Herbal Medicine, the Integrated Enterprise is there.
yes.
The yes, so my publications goes across both philosophy, economics, and ethnobotany, all of them together. So quite eclectic. So this one is it's available in ebook,
Yes.
and it's actually a it's not an easy reading, but then the one on communitalism, the second volume is the Africology. That one is not even here yet in my personal website. So for
Yes.
what you are saying, I
Apology.
need a very active IT web assistant to really spread this story further.
Okay, we can always get you that from the
Yes,
team.
yes, I think so. I
And
really
then
need
the Herbal Medicine and the revival of African civilization. Just like when I saw that, what came to my mind was Ante Diop's work on the African origin of Western civilization.
oh, yes, yes, that's right. So yeah, you are right. We need to push this thing out further.
Yeah, if you can really make some of what we call it, some fraction of it maybe in PDF available to
Yeah,
some of our colleagues, which will be like something to entice or to stimulate people to read more, because like a kind of or even abstract from the chapters. And like I was before this event, some people were asking me what are we to read, because most times you always read ahead, and some people even books that they have published, they sometimes make it available to us on private mode, so that we can read it for the sake of interaction, as well as developing the research further and making reference. But I'm happy that some are already on the Amazon, and those ones that you said that are currently not on the website, which I will communicate with you afterwards. And the one that I just wish could actually be so much available is the one that has really changed lives for me as we're growing up, which has to do with this nature power, which is more or less like, is it this? Yeah, the one that contains the replants and the herbs and like the protocol in such a way that everyone at home, mothers and other people, can take the procedures and everything to tackle any medical situation.
that's good. Yes, I will surely need to work more on that. Get a good yes assistant who can work from anywhere in the world. Now, somebody is quite familiar. So I think
And
we need to tell our story more forcefully now.
yes, and there's a database that could also be made, because of African plants and their names, and it's
Mm,
something that I think to a great extent that can also, because I know that you have farms, and then you are making the contracts of expanding various farms to
mm,
and planting some of all this ag- med, well, medicinal plants, which many people don't know what they
mm,
are and their efficacy. and
mm,
and that's one of the other thing that I would like to also ask, how the progress in that perspective, and any global collaboration that you will need from as colleagues, like Timothy was asking, as I was saying, he said he want to listen to you so I can actually see where his biological, technological thoughts can actually help. So, which are the areas of collaborations that will be needed across the from our researchers across the globe?
Okay, that's good. Most people who come here, they don't expect what they hear outside. You see far, far, far below what is happening here. We have about 200 people here working full time, microbiology, biochemists, pharmacognosis. We have an animal house where we carry out a preclinical study. They just couldn't believe that. You mean this is still happening here? And many feel that we are too modest, that that this should be trending in the news, that this is happening. So a British lady came here, she's British Nigerian, and she went around there, and she says, just like the ambassador, that this is the first time she can use the word brilliant and excellent, looking at the place. I mean, she couldn't believe the setting, the structure, everything. So I think, yes, collaborating with people like you uh, will be important also for us, to let the world know. As you say, a lot is happening, and I have colleagues across Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in Uganda. They are doing wonderful things, but they're alone. They're just doing what they are doing alone. The platform to make this known is
Yes.
not there. So probably this your group should think of something like that. Uh, can you be a platform for case stories that are working in Africa? So not just the academic, those who are also converting knowledge into practice, into actual practice that is empowering people economically. I think that would be a good way, so that we have the academy and the industry working together. So that's good. We'll keep this going. So now that I know, probably I will see how I can share during my presentation some images of what is happening here, the settings here. I think that will be very important during the presentation. I'll be able to do that.